Hello, this SDDOT Trucking Participation Training is being presented by Project Solutions, Inc., the DBE supportive services provider for the South Dakota Department of Transportation. Thank you for taking your time to watch this training. During this training, we will focus on trucking participation on North Dakota DOT highway construction projects. Our topics of discussion include general requirements of DBE trucking firms, quoting projects to primes on North Dakota DOT projects, North Dakota DOT required forms used on their projects, Davis-Bacon and certified payroll, and using the 1-to-1 DBE trucking ratio. We will start our training going over the general requirements needed to be certified as a South Dakota DBE trucking firm and how DBE trucking participation can be used on SDDOT projects. First off, the DBE firm must own and operate at least one fully licensed, insured, and operational truck to be used on the contract. During your initial certification process, you would have needed to provide title, proof of insurance, and DOT license number with your DBE application. If you do not own at least one truck, you will not be eligible for certification as a DBE trucking firm. Once you own one truck, you can then lease additional trucks, but they must be from a reputable dealer. This means that you must have a signed lease agreement in place, and trucks must display the name and identification number for the firm. A reputable dealer does not constitute leasing from a friend that has truck sitting, or leasing from the prime contractor that you are doing work for on the project. The DBE firm must be responsible for the management and supervision of the trucking operation. This means that you need to have a contract signed and in place between you and the prime contractor, and you are responsible for any employees or subcontractors that are doing work underneath you. A DBE firm may lease trucks and drivers from another DBE firm and receive credit for the total value of the transportation services the lessee DBE provides. This option should be first tried for the most participation for use on a contract. Let's go over the example here. DBE firm X uses 2 of its own trucks and drivers on a contract. It leases 2 trucks with drivers from another DBE firm Y. That means credit will be given for the total of 4 DBE trucks used on the contract. A DBE firm may lease trucks without drivers from a non-DBE truck leasing company, and if that DBE firm uses its own employees as drivers, it is then entitled to a credit for the total value of transportation services. Please note that a legitimate lease needs to be in place with the non-DBE truck leasing company. Let's look at the example here. DBE firm X uses 2 of its own trucks and drivers on a contract. It then leases trucks from non-DBE firm Z. Firm X uses its own employees to drive the trucks leased from firm Z. DBE credit would be awarded for the total value of transportation services provided by all 5 of the trucks. The DBE may also lease trucks and drivers from non-DBE firms. This agreement is called using the 1-to-1 ratio. This option entitles credit for the total value of transportation services provided by non-DBE leased trucks equipped with drivers, not to exceed the services from the DBE-owned trucks and DBE leased trucks. Please note that a legitimate subcontract needs to be in place with all second-tier subcontractors, and that you are responsible for the management and supervision of those contracted underneath you. Let's go over the example. DBE firm X uses 2 of its own trucks and drivers on a contract. It leases 2 trucks with drivers from another DBE firm Y and 4 trucks with drivers from a non-DBE firm Z. DBE credit would be awarded for the total value of services provided by firm X and Y, and will also be awarded as a 1-to-1 match for the total value of the 4 trucks from firm Z. This gives you a total of 8 DBE trucks for credit on a project. Additional participation by non-DBE owned trucks equipped with drivers that over exceeds that 1-to-1 ratio receives credit only for the fee or commission it receives as a result of the lease arrangement. Let's go over the example here. DBE firm X uses 2 of its own trucks on a contract and leases 2 trucks with drivers from DBE firm Y. It also leases 6 trucks with drivers from a non-DBE firm Z. As stated before, DBE credit would be awarded for the total value of transportation provided by firm X and firm Y, but it will also be awarded for the total value of transportation services provided by 4 of the 6 trucks provided by firm Z. So full credit would be for 8 trucks, and then the remaining 2 trucks would have credit for any fees or commissions as per the lease agreement with firm Z. If the DBE firm uses the 1-to-1 ratio, the following stipulations apply to track DBE participation. First off, the DBEs must have their trucks on the project at the same time as the non-DBE match trucks for the participation to count. For example, if a DBE is providing 2 of their trucks and 2 non-DBE match trucks, all 4 trucks must be on site at the same time to count the non-DBE match trucks. If only 1 DBE truck is on site and 2 non-DBE match trucks are on site, only 1 of the 2 non-DBE trucks counts towards the participation. This is monitored on a day-by-day basis. Next, the DBE firm will have to document on the request to sublet identifying the non-DBE trucking firm they intend to utilize. We will cover the request to sublet form later in this training. Third, if any changes are made to the non-DBE being used that were identified on the request to sublet, the Office of Operations must be notified. Now that you understand how to count DBE trucking participation used on contracts, let's go over how to quote to primes bidding SDDOT projects and where to find those opportunities. The South Dakota DOT DBE Special Provision provides valuable information on bidding procedures, counting participation, and good faith efforts. You should familiarize yourself with this document. First, let's start with good faith efforts. As per good faith efforts, primes must solicit the DBE firms to encourage DBE participation. In the special provision, it states, a bidder must solicit all certified DBEs that are listed in the appropriate work classifications in the DBE directory and that have indicated in the directory they are willing to work in the project's geographical area. Further, all DBEs quoting on SDDOT projects should register themselves on the plan holders list. The special provision states, without exception, all DBEs who are listed on the plan holders list by 10 a.m. Central Time, 7 calendar days prior to the bid letting, must be solicited. It is in your best interest to contact any primes you plan to send a quote to and ask for timelines as to when they would like them received. They need to receive your bids in a timely manner for them to address them with the other quotes that they receive. They also may have questions on your quote, and without reasonable time, they may not be able to reach out to you. With that said, please be available after submitting quotes to primes for any phone calls or emails for questions or concerns they have on your quote. If you do not answer your phone or your voicemail is full, they will not be able to clarify any questions and may not use your quote. Let's go over some information you should be including in your quote to prime contractors for your services. Prime contractors need as much information as possible from your quote to make sure that they accurately reflect that quote for service in their bid. Have your company name easily available and identify that your firm is DBE certified. Make sure to include the bid letting date that you are quoting for and the specific project numbers. And if known, you can include the material, spec, and code that you would be hauling per the plan set. You will want to list your hourly rate and include an hourly rate with Davis-Bacon if the project requires them. You can include both rates with every quote to ensure those rates are covered if needed. Later in the training, we will discuss Davis-Bacon rates and when they apply. List how many DBE trucks your firm has available for use, as well as any leased trucks that you have an agreement for. Be careful not to overcommit any match trucks that you cannot guarantee at the time the project starts. This can cause issues later with your prime contractor and the services that you commit. Make sure to identify those potential second-tier subs, as they will need to be identified on the Form C. You should include the specific trailers that you have available. Note that different material or project plans might require different trailers, such as side dumps versus belly dumps. Finally, include your contact information so the prime contractor can reach out to you with any questions. If you use your cell phone number, please make sure that your voicemail box is set up and not full so that a contractor can leave a message if you are unavailable. Now let's talk about where to find opportunities to quote. One place is the South Dakota DOT DBE newsletter. It is sent out monthly on the 20th. The newsletter includes DBE program information and updates, new DBEs certified to South Dakota, relevant business articles, bid letting information, and trainings available. As a new firm, you will get added to the mailing list upon getting certified. Primes may contact you directly requesting quotes. Below is an example of what an email may look like. Make sure that your email address is up to date in the directory. If they reach out to you, be courteous and respond. A simple, yes, I will be quoting, can I get some more information, or no, I won't be quoting this project, please keep me in mind for others, will suffice. This good communication will help develop better prime and subcontractor relationships. When you click into a bid letting date, it will take you to the letting detail page. On this page, you can find your advertisements of highway bid letting document, all the projects that are advertised for that bid letting date, and also the plan holders list for the jobs listing the prime contractor information. The Notice to Bidders document provides information on all projects out for bid for the letting date. It includes project numbers, type of work, location, and also if there is a goal on the project. In the plan holders list, you can find contractor information of any contractors that are interested in the project and may be submitting a bid. Anyone can put themselves on the plan holders list, as it doesn't guarantee that they are bidding the project. You should reach out to the contractors and ask if they will be bidding and let them know you are interested in quoting to them. Remember, they can always assist you with interpreting plans and answering any project questions. This communication is important in building that prime and subcontractor relationship. If you intend to quote on a project to a prime, you must obtain a company ID and password. This will give you access to the bid letting documents and put yourself on the plan holders list. As per the special provision, all DBEs who are listed on the plan holders list by 10 a.m. Central Time 7 calendar days prior to the bid letting must be solicited. There is a How to Bid document located on the SDDOT website on the Bid Letting Information tab. Please note that if you do not quote to all bidders on a job, only to one bidder, and they are not the contractor that wins the bid, you never had a chance to win the work. So how do you know if a prime intends to use your quote? After the bid letting closes, there is an apparent low bidders report that is posted. You can check to see if a prime you submitted a quote to is the apparent low bidder. Note that any apparent low bidder may change if there are any discrepancies with their bid or they did not meet the goal on the project. Also, they may not use your DBE quote on the project for other reasons or for any bad history of performance. If a prime plans to use your quote on the project, you will receive a Form 289B to sign for the contract amount. We will go over this form in detail in our next section. If a prime plans to use you on a project, what are the next steps? The DBE firm is responsible for entering in all second-tier subcontractors they plan to utilize on the contract prior to the work starting. You will need to fill out a DOT 202 form identifying all of your subcontractors. Secondly, the prime should be inviting all subcontractors to attend a pre-construction meeting. And lastly, the prime will provide project schedules as well as updates. If you do not receive these, please ask. PSI has free webinars available on developing prime subcontractor relationships, project scheduling, plans reading, and more. The more you understand the process, the further success your company can attain. Let's now review some of the South Dakota DOT forms that are frequently used when trucking participation is used on projects. First, we will cover the Form 289B. As mentioned earlier, this form is used if a prime is the apparent low bidder and plans to use your quote on the project. It is not a contract, but an intent form that is turned into South Dakota DOT 7 days after the bid opening date. It is suggested you make sure to get a written contract with the prime as well. The next form is the Contractor's Request to Sublet. This is that DOT Form 202. This form is used with all subcontractors, DBE or non-DBE, prior to work starting on the contract. It will be filled out by the prime and signed by both parties and approved by the project engineer. Please review before signing that all information is accurate. You will complete this form for any second-tier subcontractors you plan to utilize on the project, and it is your responsibility to have a legitimate subcontract in place with any of your subcontractors as well. Next, we will go over the commercially useful function. This form is completed on every project by South Dakota DOT project personnel to ensure DBE compliance. The prime contractor is not involved. Project personnel will review work being completed on the project site and fill out the form. You may or may not even know that the personnel is conducting the commercially useful function. A DBE must perform, manage, and supervise its work with its own employees and equipment. If a DBE firm fails to perform a commercially useful function, South Dakota DOT can withhold payments to the prime contractor. Repeated failure to perform could affect your DBE certification. The last item we will go over is the termination or substitution of a DBE on a project. If you cannot perform the work of your subcontract, you must contact the prime contractor immediately by phone and explain why you need to be relieved of the contract. You should follow up your phone call with a written request. A termination or substitution request is used if a DBE subcontractor cannot fulfill their contract obligations. The prime will contact South Dakota DOT and start the process. Primes are not allowed to replace any DBE firm without written permission from the South Dakota DOT DBE office. A prime must first try to replace the DBE firm hired on the contract with another DBE firm. Primes will resolicit DBE firms to fulfill the contract obligations, and if no DBE firms can do the work, the prime may then self-perform or hire a non-DBE firm. You may get contacted to quote work that was originally contracted to someone else. If you are selected, you will then enter into a contract with the prime and complete the DOT 289 Notification of Intent to Use form. Please note there may be other forms you encounter while participating on the South Dakota Highway Construction Project, and if you come across one that is unfamiliar, please feel free to contact us and we can assist you. In this presentation, we give an overview into Davis-Bacon and Certified Payroll. But if you need more in-depth information on Davis-Bacon and Certified Payroll, PSI has a webinar training specific to better explain the requirements on the South Dakota DOT training channel. There you can watch an on-demand video to better educate yourself on the process. South Dakota DOT also has a webinar training covering their certified payroll reporting on their website. I will give a brief overview into how to know when Davis-Bacon applies, where to find the current wage rates, and where to enter your certified payroll information. Davis-Bacon prevailing wage rates are minimum rates and fringe benefits that must be paid on federally funded or assisted contracts. Contractors and subcontractors are required to pay covered workers weekly and submit weekly certified payroll records to the contracting agency. It is the prime's responsibility to make sure all subcontractors are paying their employees the correct wages and filing their certified payroll. Davis-Bacon wage rates apply to any federally funded or assisted contract. Davis-Bacon does not apply to anything that is completely state-funded or when at the time of site of work is determined to be de minimis, meaning too small to be meaningful. For example, truck drivers whose time spent on the site of work is de minimis, such as only a few minutes at a time merely to pick up or drop off materials or supplies. There is an FAQ document on the South Dakota DOT's website labor compliance page which can help understand when Davis-Bacon wages would apply. Some examples of covered workers include laborers, concrete finishers, form setters, drivers for various types and sizes of trucks, and equipment operators. Some examples of workers exempt from Davis-Bacon would be workers such as bookkeepers, inspectors, architects, engineers, superintendents, supervisory staff, owner-operators of trucks who are independent contractors. Davis-Bacon applies only to covered workers employed directly on the site of work. Site of work is defined in your bid letting documents. This regulation is of special importance for trucking companies who can travel in and out of the site of work daily. For hauling purposes, you will need to know where the pit is located. If you cannot find it in the plan set, you can ask the prime contractor who you are quoting to for that information. That location may determine the hourly rate you will be quoting. If Davis-Bacon applies, you will have to pay your employees that rate while at the site of work. During the quoting section of this training, I showed you an example. It is good practice to list both Davis-Bacon and non-Davis-Bacon wage rates in your quote. By doing this, you are covering the rate the prime owes whether it is a Davis-Bacon job or not. If using the 1-to-1 match ratio, owner-operators of trucks who are independent contractors are not subject to Davis-Bacon wages, but any employees of the owner-operator's company will be subject to be covered with Davis-Bacon. Wage rates can be found in the proposal packet of each job as well as on the South Dakota DOT website. If Davis-Bacon rates are revised while a job is still in progress, the wage rates in the proposal packet are what are obligated to the covered worker. When Davis-Bacon wage rates apply, certified payroll applies. The South Dakota DOT requires the use of the DOT Certified Payroll Report, a paperless online system for entering and filing these certified payrolls. Certified payrolls in paper form are not accepted. All contractors must file their payrolls electronically. Payrolls are monitored and corrections will be requested if they are not in compliance. A contractor's statement of compliance form must be submitted weekly. If you are an owner-operator and have no employees, you are not subject to Davis-Bacon wages. If you have any employees working for you, even occasionally, certified payroll will apply. There is a training webinar and an FAQ document on the South Dakota DOT website regarding their certified payroll reporting system. If you have any questions on Davis-Bacon, certified payroll, or the electronic reporting system, you can contact the Labor Compliance Officer at 605-773-3795. If you are going to utilize the 1-to-1 match ratio on South Dakota DOT projects, let's review some of the necessary requirements to count participation. Number 1, the DBE may lease trucks and drivers from a non-DBE firm. This option entitles credit for the total value of transportation services provided by non-DBE leased trucks equipped with drivers, not to exceed the services from the DBE-owned trucks and DBE leased trucks. For example, DBE firm X uses 2 of its own trucks and drivers on a contract. It leases 2 trucks with drivers from non-DBE firm Z. DBE credit would be awarded for the total value of transportation services provided by firm X and firm Z for a total of 4 trucks. Number 2, a legitimate subcontract needs to be in place with all second-tier subcontractors. 3, you must note all subcontractors on Form C and identify the non-DBE trucking firms that you intend to utilize. Number 4. Non-DBE match trucks will have to display some form of signage in or on their truck identifying the DBE firm that they are working with. Number 5. DBE trucks must be on the project the same time as the non-DBE match trucks when the 1-to-1 ratio is being used for the participation to count. Trucks must be on-site daily. There is oversight from project personnel, and a CUF will be conducted for the participation to count. 6. If subcontracting to a non-DBE trucking company, you must verify certified payrolls of any employees of the company working on the project. If using only owner-operators of trucks who are independent contractors, this does not apply. This covers our sections on DBE trucking participation and the requirements. If you have any questions following this webinar, please feel free to contact Project Solutions, the DBE Supportive Services Coordinator, at 605-737-0377 or dbe@projectsolutionsinc.com. Or you can always reach Lance Demers, the SDDOT DBE Program Administrator, at lance.demers@statesd.gov.